Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're enjoying your day so far. In the last couple of days you guys have been asking in the comment section below, how are the Seattle Surge getting on? Certainly on paper, one of the most upgraded rosters for 2020 into 2021. But these last couple of days in Scrims, they've kind of been getting worked. And yes, it's Scrims, yes, it's practice, yes, they are playing good teams. But at the same time, you would maybe have expected this team to be doing somewhat better in practice than they are right now. And we're only maybe a month or so away, hopefully at least, from when this league actually does kick off. And if the trend continues as it is, Seattle Surge do not seem like they're going to be a competitive team at the upper echelons of the Call of Duty League right now. Intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. This comes out from Octane yesterday, of course, with the transition to 2021. We got to make 2021 the best year of our lives. Of course, not the best year for him and the Seattle Surge and everything that went on in that regard. And as Maven says, look at the bright side. It's basically impossible for you to win less maps this year. It is going to be a good year. So, well, who knows if that's actually possible, right? But of course, last season they did not have the best results. This was the squad last season. Octane slacked Apathy, Panda and Proto at a time. Initially, it was Enable and Karma on the team, but well, either way, it didn't go to plan. 5th, 6th, 5th, 6th. I mean, the only team they could beat pretty much was the Los Angeles Grillers. Not the nicest looking tournament results here. They did come 3rd, 4th one time at Chicago, where they won their only prize money of the season, outside of when in the CDL City Circuit Championship, they got their prize money won by some other lads. And this 3rd, 4th, they beat Los Angeles Grillers twice to get there, right? And then they made the roster changes. Karma retired. Absolute disaster. However, this season, Gunless, Octane, Looney, Pristini is now the squad. So, of course, Gunless, one of the greatest flex players these last couple of seasons. Honestly, an incredibly talented player. And teaming up with Looney, who has had great success with in the past in the Rise Nation team. Pristini as well on this team is kind of the entry SMG on the squad, who's meant to be doing the slaying role now on this team. A world champion in his own right. Can he put up the slaying numbers that they need to? That is still the question mark for this team. And, of course, Octane, one of the best ARs in the entire game. So, on paper, this team did get a lot better. However, that hasn't necessarily been happening these last couple of days. As Saint says, me, Methods needs 6 for money. 8, Octane's like, I am down. And, well, Methods tweets this out. One map today's in. Got to do something. So we'll have a look at their scrim results here in a couple of seconds. And yes, okay, it is scrims, it is practice. We're a while out from the event and they're playing against good teams. But, well, these certainly indicate something, right? If this was a few months into the title, I'd be saying that scrims actually maybe don't mean as much as they do now. Just because a few months into the title, a lot of the time the teams are working on very specific things. They may be playing a raid hardpoint just to work on their P2 to P3 rotation, and the rest of the map they don't really care too much about because they know they're good at those other rotations. It's more about just setting up shop and getting that P2 to P3 rotation working well, or something of that regard. Right now, though, pretty much all the teams are still trying to learn the game and figure out what works best on certain maps, because the game's only really been out for, well, less than 2 months, of course, as of recording this video. So therefore, most of the teams, I imagine, are just trying to improve all aspects of their gameplay, which effectively means just trying to win the maps, right? And when you're getting consistently worked again and again and again, it's maybe not the best sign for this roster. As Looney says a couple of days ago, online scrims are comedy nowadays, especially when Big P pre-aims and still loses fights. So he's talking about how he's got bad internet, Gunless in the current situation, which of course isn't going to help their scrim situation. So of course you could say, okay, when they get back to when they're all playing from the same facility in these tournaments, it's going to be a little bit different. But the fact of the matter is, if you're not getting good practice, it's not going to translate particularly well. And we saw Scump talking about a while ago the fact they look formal, and Dashy not being with those guys in Texas right now is affecting their practice to some degree. And well, that may translate if they don't get enough time to play together before the season actually does kick off. And as I said, hopefully there's going to be a pre-season event later this month, and then maybe at the start of February, I was hoping the CDL, the first stage of it, would kick off. But hopefully some announcements on that in the coming days here. This is what's been happening to the Seattle Surge then. So they scrimmed OpTic, 250, 220, 220, 250, 221 even, and then, well, scanner repair this map, then got kind of smoked on Moscow and Crossroads, and then, well, they won one map here on Moscow against OpTic Gaming in scrims, or OpTic Chicago even, and then I looked up the scrims on Shotzi's stream from the Dallas Empire's perspective, and Dallas did not lose a map here. I mean, I looked through the hard points real quick, and I don't think Seattle got more than 160 points maybe against these guys. Some of the maps were were absolute blayouts. Some of the maps were a little bit closer than that, but well, still, Shotzi and co obviously gets injured here by Looney, which is pretty entertaining, but still, in this entire scrim set in terms of the hard points, they only got like 160 points, as I say, max. Seattle Surge against the Dallas Empire. And yes, Dallas are looking incredibly strong, maybe the strongest team in the game right now. I mean, these guys obviously, they know how to grind, and that's why I think a lot of Dallas Empire fans are very optimistic about what this team can go doing forward, because yes, okay, maybe OpTic and Atlanta FaZe are very strong and very competitive with the Dallas Empire early part of the season, and well, they seem to be very competitive with them at the present time. But as time goes on, I mean, these guys are probably going to grind more than any other team in the entire game, and certainly they do seem to be separating themselves from a squad like the Seattle Surge at the present time. And you even get this clip as well. I'll play for you guys maybe at the end of the video where, well, Shotzi and Co are playing here on Raid Hard when it gets Seattle Surge. And Shotzi's just sitting in the hill shooting hoops because, look, at the end of the day, he doesn't think these guys are putting up too much competition. So what do you think is going to happen going forwards for this Seattle squad? As though, well, I don't know what to say. He says on Reddit here, Surge getting Kentucky Fried today, won one map versus OpTic, now getting smoked by Dallas. And as they say, to the absolute shock of nobody. These were some of the scrims here just from Shotzi's stream. And I mean, they're playing on Crossroads. I think this was the final, hardpoint map they actually played. Every other map was either, well, a similar kind of scoreline to something like this, 250 to 60, something in that ballpark. And this was the comment from Dongley a couple of months ago when this roster did get first now. So do you kind of agree with this perspective? Do you think they are going to get significantly better? I mean, the talent on this team is fantastic. I mean, they've won many championships between them. It seems to make sense the way the chemistry works, but just do they have the talent to make it work, right? Like, you can look at a team like the Dallas Empire, look at a team like Atlanta FaZe, what OpTic Chicago are doing over there, and really ask the questions, are these guys good enough on paper to make it work? And Pac-Man as well said quite recently on the podcast that, look, these guys have kind of been struggling. It's been a difficult time for them, therefore he's not putting them super high in his power rankings right now, and maybe learning to some degree from last season's results, right? And as Dongley said at the time, they'll be mediocre by the second or third event because the subs can't hang. Then Octane will spend the season jokingly saying he needs help and will summon his best friends, etc, etc. And I feel like I've lived this before, so I thought it was a pretty entertaining comment at the time. Will it come to reality? Well, time, I suppose, will tell. And also we got this as well, so I think yesterday or just after OpTic was scrimming against the Seattle Surge, they then scrimmed against London, and these scrims against London are somewhat difficult to read into because Zero, I think, is still based in the UK right now, which means that the hosting situation is certainly not very good for Formal, especially in the OpTic Chicago guys. But at the same time, even though the hosting situation wasn't great, OpTic did lose this scrim set against London and kind of got smoked here on Moscow. And just the fact that Seattle then got 250 to like 18 or whatever on Moscow by OpTic, and maybe it's not necessarily OpTic's best map given that what's going on right here against the London team, definitely ask the question, how good are Seattle looking in these scrim sets right now? Just to finish off the video then talking about this, because I thought it was pretty entertaining, Octane says, look, World War II was one of the best competitive Call of Duties we ever had, and of course, Aches, the world champion on that title, best competitive COD since Black Ops 2. I saw your tweets earlier, didn't realize people thought this game wasn't incredible for competitive COD. People just don't read the word competitive and view it for most BS reasons. Wasn't colourful, therefore bad game. The fact that the game's biggest issue was isn't colourful says enough, right? And I'm sure Octane and Co would love to go back to World War II in that sense, because that was the game where Looney and Gunners were absolutely dominating. And well, we'll have to see if the Surge can rekindle that kind of form later this season. But the league this season is just so competitive. There's so many great teams about. I mean, Seattle Surge sitting here, I mean, like, where are they going to line up, right? We talked about when this team was formed, maybe they're going to be top 6 in that kind of range. Right now, they're not necessarily looking that good in scrims, and we've certainly got a while until the first events coming along, so there's a lot of time for these guys to improve and get better, and maybe they will do. I definitely have some faith that this team can turn it around, but the gap right now between them and some of the top teams in scrims certainly seems pretty dramatic, right? And well, it's not necessarily lining up well for Octane and Gunners to have a fantastic bounce back season. And that is kind of the issue we talked about with the Surge here, the fact that, well, Gunners doesn't like losing, let's just say that, and in previous seasons he's had good success early on, and then things have fallen apart. This season, is it possible that if this team doesn't do well and, well, starts to get poor results at tournaments, as they may well do on current form, if there was an event tomorrow, you're certainly not expecting the Seattle Surge to do anything special based on what they've shown online, then, well, does that lead to a team explosion or implosion at one time or another throughout the season? It's, well, certainly something which probably should be on the radar. But I'm certainly intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Maybe these guys can turn it around. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. Really helps out the YouTube algorithm to know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and help grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care, and I will see you next time.
Oh shit.
Oh wait, no, you hold it. They're all pulling.
Octane beam cross map. Scump.
Yo, middle on me. Middle kitchen going pillars. He's gonna go circle, guys.
Did you not see him when you ran through the back?
Oh, he's mid map, Pristine.
No, I didn't see him. Where was
he?
he?
A spot there. He was like in the
What?
back.
No, he was in a couple.
L Street.
I
He's
got
going
street.
street,
I
right
got
here.
it.
Yo, I spawned behind him.
I'm holding.
Top green
Low
dead, top
green.
green dead.
I'm on low green.
What the?
Wait, I have your back.
Yo, Akon
Pretty
Looney.
sure one guy's top green too, right?
I killed one top coming out. Oh,
Yo, in the back on this. Did you see that?
Yeah, con there.
where'd this guy go?
Two, another.
Wait,
Alright.
can you use 2 snipers or not?
Oh yeah.
Can you?
Huh?
Yo,
Actually, I don't know.
yo, someone
I
guide.
don't
No. I'm playing this round with the blindfold on.
How the fuck are you?
I'm going
Yo,
base.
you get a kill, I get you 5 good then.
Alright.
Like that.
Bro, you gotta give me more than that.
I mean, bro, like, think I'm rich or something?
Where the
like that?
Oh my god, how am I missing, bro? Like, what am I fucking shit?
You gotta give me more.
I'm on a wall or something, bro.
Bro, I feel like I have the orangutan
You're the
on
wall,
this
you're
gun.
the
Oh,
wall.
what the fuck?
You actually
Why
see
does
her, no?
that?
on you, comrade.
You closest 1v3.
Alright, hold on. All I have is sound.
Wait, you're centering hella gear no bullshit.
You honestly have
Yeah,
to use, like,
wait. Tell me when to shoot.
No.
I mean, you're looking at a wall.
This
Oh.
is